Welcome to Comics Bazaar, the channel of comics commentary and arcana. This video features the Incredible Hulk issue number 383, cover dated July 1991. So the cover is by Dale Keown, pencils and inks by him. His inking style is grittier than what is done with his pencils by Bob McLeod or Mark Farmer. I like it. I think it's particularly appropriate for the location of this cover scene, which is the New York sewers, as it turns out, like the little detail of the two little rats there on the steps. And it features the Abomination, of course, and he has kidnapped or abducted his ex-wife, the actress, and there you've got the Hulk, and he's challenging the Abomination. And the comical aspect of the Hulk there is that open-chested shirt he's wearing. So in the previous issue, in the letters page to the previous issue, 382, we learned that the cover colorists of Marvel Comics are not the same as the interior colorists. And there's two main cover colorists at Marvel in this era, George Roussos and Mark Chiarello. And either one of them doesn't know that the Hulk is supposed to be wearing a brown jumpsuit instead of the purple pants, boots and the white open shirt, as though he were at a 70s disco. He's just missing a gold chain. But getting beyond that, this is a really well composed cover, intriguing, and I really like the look of the Abomination now since the Hulk dumped him in toxic waste back in issue 364. So we get to see that he's not just a monster, he's a horrifyingly ugly monster now too. So let's open this. Oh yeah, last point I want to make is in respect of the rendering of the wife there and the particular hatching style that Dale Keown is using. Reminds me a little bit of Bernie Wrightson. So there's an obvious John Byrne influence on Dale Keown's pencils, but I think there's some Wrightson influence too, because Dale Keown likes a monster horror story too. And that was Bernie Wrightson's speciality. So we open with a splash page here, green canard, so green duck. And of course in French, a canard, the meaning of the term is like a false rumor. So that's a little bit of a theme that plays through this issue. And we can see there that Betty has got green hair. She's got both a haircut and now green tinted hair. So what is going on? The creative team is here: Peter David Ryder, Dale Keown, penciler Mark Farmer, inker Joe Rosen on letters, and Glynis Oliver on colors. So let's get into this. She is stammering there. Who? Marlo. So the two girls, they are now housemates, and to celebrate they had a few beers, and it looks like champagne too. Ordered in pizza, and they are hungover in the morning, Marlo especially. And what did they get up to the night before? The last that we saw of them in the previous issue was heading to the bathroom where Marlo was going to give Betty a makeover. So she gave her both a haircut and a very bad dye job. So what happened? Well, it seems like she got the cleaning fluid mixed up with the hair dye, and the bottles are kind of similar. She says, "You dyed my hair with cleaning fluid." Betty's upset, among other things. Hey, it was an honest mistake. So was the Alaskan oil spill, says Betty. So a topical reference at the time. There's a knock on the door. Marlo goes to get it. Betty's just hiding there under the cushion. And Marlo opens the door and she says she's going to fix up the mistake she made. Who's at the door? Let's turn the page. It's the Hulk and Rick Jones. So that's a great top-down angle there of the Hulk standing in the doorway. So he's obviously had to bend down a little in order to get in. And I like the way that he's just resting his arm nonchalantly on the top of the door. That's really, really well done by Keown. "Hey Mar," says Rick. "Told you he'd be back." So Betty is there. She sees it's Bruce. He's there, hands on hips, smiling, and says, "For me, oh Betty, you shouldn't have," in relation to the dye job. So great little scene there. Some funny stuff going on. Very expressive faces Dale Keown is capable of drawing. And it reminds me once again of how Peter David said that his 3 favourite artists to work with, the ones who turned his scripts into pages as he imagined them in his own head, were Dale Keown, Leonard Kirk and George Perez. So let's continue with this. And Perez is an interesting little bridge to the fact that this issue of the Hulk, it's not telegraphed on the cover or even the opening there, but it's going to tie in with the big summer event of 1991. So we'll get back to that in a few pages time. So then the scene switches to New York City. You can see the Twin Towers there as the key landmarks. And I really like the work that Dale Keown does here in terms of bringing us into the sewage system. So we've got the manhole cover there, we've got the steps down, we've got the sewer itself, we've got the men there working on the valve in the middle of this piping system. It's all really well done. I mean, like, think about it. If you're an artist and having to draw this particular location, and the amount of thought you'd have to put into it in order to make it believable, and Dale Keown just does it really, really well. So the 2 guys there, the 2 workers, are just having a little bit of a chat. Whenever we go to a party, says one of them, me and the missus, and I mention I'm a sewer worker, you know what? They're impressed. So his colleague is incredulous. Yeah, right. And the guy says, swear to God. They say, isn't that dangerous? I mean, with all the alligators and monsters in the New York sewers. So the other guy says, monsters in the sewers, Charlie, can you beat that old story? Isn't that ridiculous? So a canard, a green canard, that's our story title. And walking up behind them in a trench coat is a hell of a green duck. I've always thought so, he says. They turn around. I like the way that the flashlights on their helmets are kind of rendered here in the inking by Mark Farmer. Hey, who are you? Says one of them, you shouldn't be down here. And then the spotting of blacks on his face. Really, really well done. And this is the first look at the Abomination proper since, as I said a few minutes ago, the Hulk threw him into toxic waste back in issue 364. Tell me about it, he says. So let's continue. The guys react. They're screaming, they're yelling, they're running to get out of the sewer. Abomination isn't particularly interested in them. Said he makes a joke. That's your tax dollars at work for you. Gets up onto the surface and climbs up the side of this apartment building. Where's he going? He balances on the ledge outside a bedroom window, as it turns out, and it's his ex-wife, Nadia, who's there. And she's an actress, and she is starring in a Broadway play, Metamorphosis, based on the Franz Kafka novel. So he's there talking to himself outside her bedroom window, saying, I wish I knew the things to say or the things to do, but I'm paralyzed, and I do not know if I'm frozen by your beauty or my ugliness, he says. Dear Lord, give me a sign, tell me what to do. So Beauty and the Beast is a perennial theme of the Abomination, but most particularly since he's been dropped in that toxic waste. And here we're back in the house now that Betty and Marlo are sharing, and the Hulk is in great form. So he's been telling everyone about the Pantheon, about his visit there in the previous couple of issues. So that's the story, he says. The Pantheon only want the best for humanity and want me to be a part of it. So Rick is on board. He says, doesn't it sound cool, guys? And Betty demurs. She's less than enthusiastic. Oh, very cool. And Bruce says, I want us to live there in the Mount. We can finally be together. No more running, no more hiding. Someplace where we can. And Betty interrupts him angrily. Where we'd be practically prisoners, she exclaims. Bruce, I just left an insular, closed life, and that's as a nun. I don't want more of the same. So Hulk gets up a bit too quickly, puts his hand out towards her. Betty, you've got it all wrong. Didn't you hear me? We'd be together, we. And then he realizes, why are you flinching? And he pulls back, looks at his hand there, moved out too fast towards her. Her head's turned away from him. His head is bowed. We've got the rendering there of the silhouette. And then he closes his fist. That scene is so well done in terms of the play of emotions, from that jolly Hulk there at the table to getting up, moving too quickly, her backing away from him, and then the realization as it lands with him, and he realizes that, there's going to be difficulty bringing Betty on board with his agreement to be part of the Pantheon. It's not them, it's me, isn't it? And she says to him, you said you'd give me time, and that was a few issues ago. Take your time, a day, a month, a year, whatever. I'm fine with it, really, however long. And out he goes. I'm really, really fine. So he's made his way into Reno with it because I love her. I can handle this. I'm perfectly okay. And then his actions belie his words as he smashes the roof of this poor person's car parked on the street. And Rick catches up with him. Hey, Bruce. Doesn't realize that the Hulk did that to the car. Boy, wonder who parked that wreck here. Hey, Bruce, says Rick. She'll come around. And then this is really interesting and subtle characterization on Peter David's part. She'd better. And Rick responds, what? Nothing, says the Hulk. So this is intriguing because with the integration of Bruce's various personalities, the original savage, dumb Hulk who only wanted to be left alone, the clever, smart, cunning grey Hulk, and now and all of those two personalities integrated with his own, he is supremely confident, strong, clever, smart. But is he losing touch with his more human and vulnerable side? And is that going to cost him his marriage with Betty? So even as everything is looking up for him, it's not as easy as that, is the way that Peter David is writing this, and it's well done. And also the reason that Betty's skeptical of him, she'd better, is written into this piece of dialogue as well. And Rick just isn't 100% tuned in because we're all getting to know who this new Hulk is, this new iteration of the Hulk, this integrated personality. So Rick continues, he says, look, Bruce, I trust you and everything, but maybe this Pantheon gig is a little... And then the Pantheon's craft arrives. Whoa, who's piloting that baby? Luke Skywalker. So Hulk leaps aboard with Rick. And where are they off to? To the Mount. So Ulysses is there on the ship. And there's a little joke here about Rick's memoir of his time as a sidekick with Captain America and others. Rick Jones, I read your book, says Ulysses. Yeah, what you think? Turgid and self-aggrandizing. So Rick takes it in good fun. Gee, thanks. Can I use that as a pull quote? So who are you supposed to be? Buck Rogers or Flash Gordon? So Ulysses comes back and says, cute doctor, where's your wife? So he turns to Bruce there. And this is interesting kind of dodge from the Hulk. Indisposed. So that's a great term. Covers a multitude, doesn't it? Indisposed. And Ulysses doesn't dig in any further into that. So Hulk asks, are we going back to the Mount? We're going with a slight detour. How slight? 2,000 miles. So they're off to New York City. And in New York, Nadia Dornova is coming out of the, no doubt, 5-star hotel where she's staying. And she has got a security man who's looking after her in New York, Sergei. And he's keeping an eye on this character in silhouette who's been stalking Nadia, and he says here, and I've contacted some friends to make sure that this stays nothing. So we'll find out who those friends are shortly. So meanwhile, Marlo's rectifying her mistake and giving Betty a proper dye job. So Betty's gone from brown to blonde, and Marlo's judgment is that she looks like a punk Barbie doll. So, Marlo there is saying to Betty, again, this is really, really well handled by Peter David in the script, like the kind of personal, emotional relationships of the different characters. Look, Betty, there's a lot of stuff you should have said to Bruce, stuff he was entitled to hear. And she says, well, he wouldn't understand. What wouldn't he understand? Says Marlo, with her hands on her hips. That's good body language as well. Betty says, look, it sounds selfish, but I want to feel needed. When Bruce was Bruce, he needed me desperately. I want to be someone that he can't live without. You saw how easily he blew out of here and left me behind. He doesn't need me. He doesn't need anyone. Besides, you're the one who said I should make my own life. So Marlo says here, and I mean, like, she's not, she herself is shrewd and tuned in to the emotional side of life, and she responds, yeah, but I don't want to break up your marriage. So Betty doesn't address that head on. Instead, she says, Marlo, I was afraid to tell him, afraid of what he might do. He radiates danger. So that's a really great line there about this integrated version of Bruce Banner Hulk. Radiates danger. It's that confidence, but also the kind of the implication of the Hulk as a coiled spring of potential violence and power. Being afraid of your husband, Betty continues, what kind of basis for a marriage is that? I won't be afraid, and I won't be baggage. I'm going to find a job where I count for something. So she's looking in the Reno Herald for the help a wanted jobs section. So over here we switch to the Pantheon's jet en route to New York City. And Ulysses is explaining why they're going there. And it's about Nadia. One of her co-stars is a field operative of ours named Sergei. We have hundreds of operatives throughout the world, says Ulysses. There are eyes and ears. The vast majority, of course, only have the barest inkling of just how large our organization is. Sergei has informed us that Nadia has been stalked by some mysterious individual. Has been for the last week or so. Big bruiser and fast. We'd like you to check it out. So, the Hulk asks, why me specifically? And Ulysses says, we've done some checking into her background. It turns out she was once married to an Emil Blonsky. Here's his picture. Let's turn the page. Name seems familiar somehow, says Hulk. That was from his days as a spy. A before picture, now he looks like this. So the Hulk recognizes him immediately. The Abomination, you're right. He's definitely my problem, especially since I dumped him in the toxic waste. So again, that's a reference to 364. Do you realize, says Rick, this is pretty funny, if it weren't for bad guys escaping, we'd all be sitting around playing Pinocchio. And Ulysses here says, Banner, are you sure you want this bozo along? Who, Rick? That bozo is worth 10 of you, Red. So this is interesting too, this kind of setup of the fact that this new version of the Hulk really feels that foundational concern and value for Rick Jones, because of course the origin of the Hulk is Bruce Banner going out onto the test site to save Rick, who was oblivious to the fact that a gamma bomb was going to go off on the test site. This is clever on Peter David's part. It's all foundational. The Hulk has, Bruce Banner, the Hulk has this, because he saved Rick's life, this really deep attachment to Rick. Why is that important? It's coming up shortly. So Ulysses there is focused on the mission. I'd ram those words down your throat. If they weren't a good chance, you'd kill me. And Rick walks off, the Abomination storming around New York. That's something nice and simple. I've had a belly full of Skrulls, Kree, and Intelligence Supremes. So a reference back there. A reference back to the original Kree Skrull War in Avengers 89 to 97 thereabouts. I like the variation of the 6-panel grid there, where we've got the borderless panel as Rick walks off. But also this is clever because we have this transition from him talking about how this gig in New York is going to be nice and simple versus cosmic threats. And then here on the next page, we have our tie-in to the big summer event across the Marvel Universe of 1991, which was Infinity Gauntlet. So we're seeing here an event in Infinity Gauntlet, Jim Starlin, George Perez's Infinity Gauntlet #1, the arrival of Silver Surfer on Earth, specifically landing in Doctor Strange's house in Greenwich Village, Manhattan, in order to warn them of the cosmic threat that is Thanos. So he says here, only Thanos matters, and if we don't stop him, then nothing else will matter ever again. All right. Now, I think it would have been useful, like, imagine if you were a reader just of the Hulk at the time, like, this is coming out of nowhere, and, like, there should be an editorial note to say, you know, for more on this, see Infinity Gauntlet issue #1, but we don't have that anyway. Here the scene switches to Abomination, and he is back down in the tunnels beneath Manhattan, and he is thinking to himself, I thought I could do it. I thought I could simply watch her, safe, secure from a distance, but there's a need swelling in me, a need to try to win her back. I'm already less than a man on the outside, but if I stay here cowering and cringing, I'm less than a man on the inside. I won't have it. This night I will do something. I don't know what, but something. I think this is a great page. I love the layout here. We have the establishing shot of the subway station, and then we understand that we're beneath it here in the tunnels under Manhattan. We've got the homeless people here. We've got the Abomination walking around amongst them. They're ignoring him because basically he's one of them. They are the discarded of society, the ugly and the cast out. And then we're up on the surface with the glitz and razzmatazz of Broadway. So we've got an opera of the era, Cats there, and then the specific show for our story, Metamorphosis, as I said earlier, based on the Franz Kafka novella. Lower your voice, please, Mr. Jones. Oh, sorry, I can't recall the last time I saw a Broadway show, Never from the Wings. So it is Rick Jones there in the wing with Sergei, and on stage is Nadia, and she is delivering her lines to the protagonist of Metamorphosis, Gregor, who's the guy who's transformed into a beetle, but instead of a beetle, he disappears, and then she breaks her character, calling out to the actor, Jack. Whoa, nice vanishing effect, says Rick, but she blew her line. I thought the character's name is Gregor. It is, says Sergei. Look at that look of shock on his face. Name is Jack. The actor's name is Jack, and that disappearance wasn't in the script, but it's an effect of something that occurs in Infinity Gauntlet, issue #1. And another person who disappears is the Sorcerer Supreme's faithful servant Wong. Something hideous is happening, exclaims Doctor Strange. I can feel it. And Wong is gone. And then we've got Spider-Man. Spider-Sense has been twitchy all day, but it hasn't been anything that I can lock down. And then there's a surge or a wave across the Spider-Sense. Cripes. Spider-Sense just went crazy. Feels like my head is going to crack like a melon. So something big and bad has happened. Also, look at the size of Spider-Man's head there. So the proportions are a bit off. Interesting to see Dale Keown draw Spider-Man. I think he does a good Doctor Strange. Needs to do a bit more work to get more comfortable with the character of Spider-Man, put it that way. And then back at the Broadway show, people start disappearing from the audience. And the Hulk hears the screaming. Rick, where's the Abomination? I heard screams. Rick is on the phone. I got to call Marlo, make sure she's okay. Half the people are just being totally wiped out if it's widespread. The Hulk is asking Rick, where is he, of the Abomination. It's not the Abomination, says Rick, it's... And then he starts disappearing. And just this little piece where he's looking at his hand kind of fading out on the phone reminds me of that scene from Back to the Future, where Michael J. Fox's character is playing in the band on the what's it called again? Like the graduation ball, and he sees like his hand becoming translucent, and it's like that scene is being referenced here by Dale Keown in the art, but it's working really well. And Rick realizes that he's dying. I can't die now. I got a gig on Thursday, so he goes out with a joke, and the Hulk is shocked there. Like I said, Rick is important to the Hulk. Turn the page. And Silver Surfer, back in Greenwich Village with Doctor Strange, says they're all dying. Billions upon billions of souls blinking out of existence. And this is tying in with the moment when Thanos kind of egged on, actually more reminded by Mephisto of his promise to Lady Death, because Death personified, who is Thanos' beloved, is giving him the cold shoulder, and Mephisto reminds him of his promise to her, a promise made in Thanos' quest, that he would wipe out, that he would make an offering of killing half the living beings in the universe to her, and so he does it. He snaps his fingers and does it, and so we're seeing that we're seeing the consequences of that in this particular issue of the Hulk, but with no editorial flagging of what's going on. So it would be a big shock for a reader who hadn't read Infinity Gauntlet at the time. And in the chaos, Abomination rises up from the sewers, and he sees his ex-wife there on the street. Incredible. He says, "Mass panic, cries of the end being near, and you delivered to me. How clear could the signs be?" So she voicelessly screams and passes out because she's never seen him after his disfigurement by the toxic waste. "Come, Nadia, you're safe now." So he's going to bring her underground. And then back on stage, interesting dialogue from the Hulk where he says, "This is insane. Rick's gone, Nadia's gone." And then this is the line that is intriguing: "Stupid humans panicking all around me." Now that's a line that could be delivered by the original Hulk. So he's in there. He's part of the integration. And so Hulk says, "Staying here isn't doing me a bit of good. I need altitude if I'm going to see what's going on." So he just simply leaps and smashes his way to the roof of the theater, looks down at the chaos on the street, and looks for the Abomination. Blonsky, drop her. He spots her. "Didn't hear me over the screams, and if I jump down, the streets are so thick with people, I'll crush someone. Idiots getting in my way." So intriguing, he has this disdain. That's disdain and alienation from humans via the original Hulk. But he also has a concern, not to intentionally injure anyone by acting too rashly. So, there's a kind of like a balance there with the character, but things could go wrong. So Abomination continues going underground with his fainted wife. Hulk is following him down. "Hot as Hades down here," he says. "When I'm through with him, he'll be able to compare it firsthand." So the Hulk continues descending into the depths of the tunnels and sewage system under Manhattan. "Hold it, Blonsky," he says as he pushes through the metal door. "You unrepentant piece of toxic waste." And I mean that sincerely. So Abomination recognizes the Hulk, of course. "Excuse me, my dear," as he lays her down gently. "I have to give some unfinished business, the business." "So you're green again, eh? What happened? Lose a fight to Ted Turner?" I don't get that reference. "Smart mouth, Blonsky. Yours is smart. So what are you? The intelligent Hulk? The Banner Hulk? The dumb Hulk?" And Hulk, that's a great panel there as he bounds over the railing. "I'm Robert Bruce Banner, the Incredible Hulk." That's a cathartic moment. That's really good. Like the detail of the hat, flying off Abomination's head. His trench coat's going to get shredded badly as well. So they land in the water, the sewage water, remember. And we get some back and forth between them. Abomination says, at least with the stupid Hulk, I always knew what he was talking about. So Hulk is laboring under the mistaken belief that Abomination is responsible for the disappearing people. But that doesn't make any sense. You made them disappear, you bring them back. So this steam pipe hits him in the face, distracts him. Abomination manages to punch him to the ground. I didn't make anyone disappear. I just took back what was mine. But the Hulk grabs him by the wrist. I'll tell you what's yours. Let's see this. Turn the page. And basically he smashes him into the floor. This is yours. Gotta have broken a bone there. And there's plenty more to keep a company, says the Hulk. You think you're ugly now? You're going to be nostalgic for your present looks. That's a great line. Now tell me, what did you do with... And then something weird happens. On a, the cosmic aspect of the Marvel Universe intrudes once again. So there's a portal here and it grabs Hulk. And where's he off to? Well, says Abomination, if that's not a conclusive sign, I don't know what is. So next, Thanos has hurled down the Infinity Gauntlet and the Hulk engages in small talk. So the next issue is going to be an official crossover with Infinity Gauntlet. But there's nothing about it here on the letters page. I rather think in the past you'd usually get a box here where the editor would inform readers about what just happened with the crossover with Infinity Gauntlet and give readers some information on how to be informed about what's going on in that important epic event of the summer of 1991. Letters here concern issue 378 and 379. And there you go. By the way, just really love that anchor image there of the Hulk. Love that look on his face as well. Really, really well done. Yeah, I do hope that you enjoyed this review and commentary on Incredible Hulk issue 383. Let me know your thoughts on this one in the comments section. If you enjoyed my review and commentary, please like and share the video. It really does help the channel. And if you haven't done so already, subscribe to the channel and stay tuned for more content like this.